I'm Chrissy. I sing in the band.
I'm Dan. I play guitar.
And I'm Will. I play drums.
And we are Against the Current, and we are coming to Australia for the first time in like 6 years. This October.
Both of them. Both of them.
Both of them. This fall. Coming, is it even fall? Is it spring for Australia?
We don't even celebrate fall, I don't think. The only way we fall is after too many beers.
Oh my God. We're at some point this year, Against the Current will be back in Australia for the first time in 6 years. There we go.
Beautiful, guys. Thanks for joining us. That was an epic introduction. So as you say, Against the Current return to Australia for a runner show starting September 28th in Brisbane before going to Sydney, Melbourne, Belgrade, Adelaide, and finishing in Perth on October the 4th. So you got it right. It was September and October.
There we go. I knew what I was talking about the whole time.
I know you did. So what sort of surprises and delightful things you guys got planned for Australia?
I mean, we're the surprise, right? Like, we haven't been there in so long. At this point, the fact that we're showing up is a surprise, but we're very excited to come back. Probably playing a ton of music that we've never played live in Australia before, because it has been so long. So that's part of the fun part. And hopefully by that time, playing some new music that's just new to Against the Current as well. And
there's a lot of shows in not many days. Like, I'm not very good at arithmetic, but I count only one day off.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes.
That's not fair. It's not fair.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a rough one.
Yeah, you got a Monday off. I've noticed you got a Monday off and that's it. And nobody does anything on Monday except sleep.
Long weekend.
You know what? I love a Monday, but that's probably because we're in the music industry, and so we don't have real concepts of weekdays.
Isn't it amazing though how Sunday still just has a vibe usually?
It always has a vibe. Yeah, Sundays always have a vibe.
Actually, Australians love Sunday drinking sessions. We call them Sunday sessions here, but that's a traditional Australian thing. Is you go to the pub on a Sunday afternoon, watch a bit of live music, usually cover bands, but the Sunday session we call it. So if you get a bit of time off, look for a Sunday session while you're over here.
I think we might be doing a Monday session.
Monday session.
We might be doing a Monday session. Yeah.
A Sunday into Monday session.
There you go.
And the tour is called the Nightmares and Daydreams Tour. Like, I'm guessing that name's got some significance that I don't know about.
It comes from a line in the first song that we released as an independent artist, which is called Blindfolded. There's a line in the chorus that says, "All my nightmares used to be daydreams." And it's kind of about disillusionment, about things that you thought you wanted actually turning out to be awful in some way, shape, or form, and how there's kind of that blurred line between what could be a nightmare and what could be a dream.
Okay, cool. So like having to have a Sunday session on a Monday.
Yeah. There you go. sounds like a daydream, but when you're getting into that Monday afternoon, feels like a nightmare.
Beautiful. And as you said earlier, it's your first trip down under since 2017, so I'm guessing this is going to be a long answer, but what's actually changed for the band since then?
Dan's hair is longer. Will has no hair. That's changed quite a bit.
Yeah. I'm hitting the continent with no hair.
Most of the music industry.
So yeah, everyone's my hair is pink, I guess. We're all coming with different hair. Besides that, I mean, we've released 2 albums in that time, an EP and now a new single, and we'll be releasing more new music throughout the year. So I guess a lot has changed, but at the same time, we're still Chrissy, Dan, and Will, and doing the same thing. So I think it'll be good. It's
big, like loud gig.
Loud. Yeah, big loud rock gig.
Awesome.
Energy.
And last year released 2 singles, Wildfire and Blindfolded. So are those standalone songs, guys, or are they part of a bigger album picture?
Wildfire definitely is a standalone. We did that in collaboration with the European League for League of Legends video game. And then Blindfolded, it's probably not going to be on the EP. It's probably more of like a transition song, but it is in some way kind of part of the next era of music for Against the Current, if that makes sense.
It kind of does, but you're going to make it make sense. So describe the next era. What's the next era of music?
So we haven't really released anything yet, or kind of given any dates, but the next era of Against the Current is super TBD. We're figuring it out kind of as we go along now, and getting ready to release, getting ready to record some new music that we can be releasing throughout the year. So this year will kind of shape that era.
Mm-hmm. But when you say new era, like, does it mean you're going in a slightly different musical direction, or it's going to be something that people wouldn't expect from you guys? Or
I don't think so different. I think we're kind of really hitting our stride with Fever on who we are as a band and what we love the most and what our fans love. Obviously, each new piece of music is going to kind of just grow on what we've already done before. But I don't think it's gonna be it's not gonna be like some drastic shift where you're gonna be like, holy shit, who is this band now? You know, we're still gonna be against the current and I think just continuing to grow and hone in and it's all going to be released this year independently as well as our plans. So a lot of it will just be like, hey, this comes from Dan, Will, and Chrissy, and that's it. That's who it comes from.
yeah, so it's interesting you mentioned independent, because that was my next question. Like, how has that changed things for you guys as a band?
Being independent.
Yeah.
You know, we started, obviously every band starts independent, but we like really did the independent thing for a while. You know, we went on a world tour independent. We released several bodies of music, 2 EPs independent. So we spent a good amount of time. So for us, going back to that is really nice because we have autonomy again. We have control over our own band, our own destiny. And there's so much more to that than just the music alone. Obviously, it's really, you know, we get all the creative freedom in the world to choose what music we want to release and why and where and when and who and what, all those kind of things, but also just dictating the direction of the band, when we want to do things, where we want to do things, all of that. So it's just nice, you know, we're adults now. We started this band when we were teenagers and we are in our 20s now, in our late 20s. So, but it didn't feel that way being on a label when someone's always kind of telling you when you have to do things and what you have to do. It feels very much like being handled. And now it's kind of like we know what we're doing. We've done this long enough. We've released the music. We've built the foundation prior to the label. So it's really nice to be back in that mindset. It's more fun again, even at the very least.
Yeah, cool. So give us a slight brief history on the band, because it's quite an interesting story. Like, Against the Current started back in 2011. You first gained attention by posting covers on YouTube. So back then, were you only having a bit of fun putting the covers up there, or was that sort of part of your plan for future world domination?
I mean, everything's fun, right? But you know, we're in the music industry. We can't complain. But no, I think that was always part of the initial plan. We were just in high school. We were 15 years old. We couldn't go on tour really yet. We were still in school, still figuring it out. And we also didn't know what we wanted to be yet musically. Like, we were figuring all of that out too. But in the meantime, we knew that we could emulate at least really well and put our own kind of touches on things. So by making these covers, we were really getting a lot of practice in by dissecting songs and putting them back together in ways that we found interesting. And then also able to connect with people globally over something that we shared in common, which was whatever that song we were covering was. When it comes to releasing your own songs, other people don't have that in common with you yet. You have all the connection to that, but other people don't. So this helped us build relationships, you know, with our fans and our audience around the world and kind of just bond together. It's kind of like going and doing karaoke together in a way. And we had a lot of fun. And then when it was time to share our own music, they understood it because they could hear us, the part of us that we had put in those covers. They could then hear that coming through but being fully center stage now in our original music.
So it was always your plan to have your original music out there eventually?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for all of us, we've always it's always been music. There's never been a question. It's just kind of been the thing that all of us have always done. It's always been there. So at some point we were always going to get there.
And you mentioned that you were only like 15 and still at school when you started that. So essentially you guys have grown up together in the public spotlight. Like, how difficult has that been? Like, I know it's fun, but it couldn't be easy.
I think the thing with this question that's always difficult for us to answer is that at one point, it early enough in our lives, that was all we knew. And we're not massive either, right? We're not like, it's very different when you're the size of an artist where you can't even go to the grocery store without getting people like pulling you aside. Like that's a whole different ball game. I think we were in the sweet spot where we had a lot of attention online, but not so much that we couldn't live our lives like normal people. So I think it helped us stay pretty grounded, but it also normalized us very early on to having fans. And a lot of our friends are in music. A lot of our friends are in, adjacent industries, acting, etc. So it became really normal really fast that this is just how life was, and you just don't even really think about what the alternative would have looked like because we haven't lived that.
Yeah, we kind of were lucky too. When we were figuring out, when we were really young, starting out, we got to kind of get a close look at other bands that were actually like, doing it like professionally at the time, and, kind of see how things work. So we grew up around other bands that we learned a lot from, which helped too. So we kind of understood how things went and just got the overall, this is what it's like when you have 5 kids hanging outside of a venue, before and after the show, and, just how to handle stuff like that and talk to people.
Yeah. And your big break came, of course, when you collaborated with Riot Games in 2017 with the single Legends Never Die, which was an exclusive track for the League of Champions World Championship game. So how did that come about? Like, it's amazing. How did it sort of fall in your lap?
I have been playing League of Legends since I was 16. So a lot of that actually went along with the timeline of the band. And then they were looking for an artist for their anthem that year. They do an anthem every single year, and they had artists like Imagine Dragons before, and they'd also had crazy artists, like massive artists, cut demos. But Riot, I think, has always done a really good job on trying to find artists that synergize well with their IP. And we had a producer that we worked with who knew someone in the music industry, in the music department there, and mentioned that he was working with a band that played League of Legends. And then so it kind of just connected through there. Like, oh, that's really interesting. We're looking for artists, and not just for the anthem. They were looking for artists for lots of different projects, but they had us come in and do some demos of the anthem that year, and it just was a perfect fit, apparently. So, and for me, it was a dream come true because it was my favorite video game. But at the time, I was like literally playing it nonstop.
Oh wow! And then how quickly did things change for the band from that point?
It was pretty explosive, I think. We already had a pretty sizable fan base, but that really, and I streamed League and stuff, but that definitely helped us grow a lot. And it also gave us a really strong root in the gaming industry, which was really nice because it's something that I've always been super interested in and dabbled in a bit. So it was really nice to be able to kind of like cement that tether.
They're cool. And you guys don't actually make it out to Australia until late September, like we figured out eventually before. Yeah. So what do you got planned between now and then?
So we're going to be touring in the US. And then we're also going to be doing, I think prior to Australia, we hit South America, Latin America, and
Hawaii.
Our first Hawaii show ever. Hawaii. And then besides that, lots of recording and creating, the visual content for the new music. So music videos and all that fun stuff. We need a new photo shoot. We haven't taken new photos in a very long time. Our photos are so old. So hopefully we're going to get a photo.
Has he still got hair in the photos?
No, I think
we're up to date in that sense.
That's up to date enough. Yeah. That's how long it's been since we've been to Australia, though. Will hasn't had hair in a good minute. So it's been a long time.
Don't you go growing a mohawk or something before you get here and throw us all off whack?
Ooh, yeah. Maybe we'll just all shave our heads before we come to Australia.
Yeah, we'll hit the continent strong.
Well, we'll leave it on that note then. We'll leave it thinking about hairstyles, but against the current arrive in Australia on September the 28th, starting in Brisbane for a run of shows. So we look forward to seeing you then, and enjoy yourselves between now and then, I guess.
Thank you so much, Kris. It was a pleasure to talk to you. We can't wait to come to Australia.
Well, I live in Brisbane, so I shall be there at the Brisbane show, and I'll be
be
the sort of half-board guy there looking at you.
Oh no!
Let's go. We're excited to see you.